Hi, BookTube. Welcome to Jackie's Literary Corner. I am Jackie, and I thought it would be a perfect time for a bookish update. So I just finished The Tipping the Vella by Sarah Waters. Once again, I just love Sarah Waters' writing style. It's very beautiful, very whimsical, and very descriptive. I definitely could see what was going on, and just really get into the head of our main character and get to know her. And this was just a beautiful romance. I couldn't entirely relate to her character because I've been very fortunate in my life. I don't have, except for I did relate to having the loving family and having the good relationship with them. But I couldn't, I can't relate to some of the other things about her life. I didn't connect with, her being oyster girl, or her sexuality. I couldn't really relate to. Although I could relate to her innocence in that department, but it's such she goes through so much just and there was an uncomfortable moment in the book that I ended up skipping a lot of it. It was very uncomfortable, and I just couldn't read it, so I skipped that part. But it was such a heartbreaking story, and for our main character, she goes through hardship after hardship, and constantly losing the people that she loves, sometimes of her own fault, and sometimes not her fault. And it does end happy though. It does unlike the last Sarah Waters book I read was not. I think it was the last one. Oh, the last one, Little Stranger, was kind of not a happy ending. But this one does end up being happy. But of course, it's life. Life isn't always happy, especially when you are in a position where you are someone that is not accepted by society because of certain things about who you are. And people just cannot accept it and do not understand it and constantly judge you and even hate on you just because of who you are as a person. And it's something that you cannot help and you can't control. And it's not fair. And it's even worse back in the 1800s, because, at least today, it was accepted to be the kind of person she was, to be queer. It's okay. It's now today. It's like there's still hate and horror like people that are queer experience a lot of horrors, but it's not as back. At least as people, it's acceptable today, and there are people in the world that they don't have to go into hiding. They don't have to pretend they aren't. Women don't have to pretend anymore. I don't think. And I am not queer, so I don't know personally, but from what I've seen, I feel like it is worse. Now, if I'm wrong there and someone out there that watches my channel is queer themselves, then maybe you can tell me if you disagree with that. But it's such a beautiful story, and if you're a Sarah Waters fan, it's definitely one you should read. Although I have decided that I'm not going to keep this, I'm going to donate it. I put it in the donation pile because, I think I gotta ask myself, am I gonna reread it again? And this is a beautiful story. I love Sarah Waters, and I'm gonna keep reading her books, but I probably won't reread this one again. I started up with Dr. Sleep again, which the sequel to The Shining, and I'm still really enjoying it. I like experiencing Dan's journey, especially with his relationship with helping this girl, Abra, who is like him. And I see, it's beautiful to see how important it is for him to help this girl, because he knows what he went through and the scariness of what he went through. And yeah, maybe Abra wouldn't go through something that extreme, although of course this is a story, so of course she's going to go through something that almost is that extreme. Because then you wouldn't have a story if she didn't. But she might not have, but it doesn't mean that she doesn't not need a mentor. She needs someone to help her, and she was able to connect with Dan. And and then of course in the story, the True Knot are getting closer and closer to her, and Rose is trying to connect with her and plant thoughts in her head, and because that's how they do it. They plant the thoughts in the heads of their victims that they're going to essentially eat, and but Abra is a lot more powerful, and because she has Dan to prepare her and to let her know what's going on, to help her understand and to prepare herself for, like she put up an alarm in her mind so that if someone tries to invade her mind, like there's someone from this group, then warning bells will go off. And that's exactly what Rose does. She tries to get inside her head so she can plant the thoughts in her head so that when they get there, when the time comes, they can attack her and drain her. Which I said this last time when I talked about this book, was that sometimes I feel like there's a connection between this book, the True Knot group, and then his son Joe Hill's book, Nosferatu. I feel like that because the True Knot people seem to be like they seem very similar to I can't remember the antagonist's name in that book, but Charlie Manx. Charlie Manx, that's his name. They seem very similar to him with their whole vampiric ability to, drain the essence out of someone, essentially killing them. Like I said, it's like vampires where, vampire will drain your blood and kill you, or they could turn you into one of them, and that's kind of what they can do here, is that instead of your blood, I think they eat your essence, your shine, and it drains you of life, or they will decide, let's make you one of us, so you can use your ability for us instead of, using it against us. Like, that's what they did in the beginning. In the beginning of the book, there was that one woman who, when she was a girl, I think she had an abusive father, or he, sexually abused her, and so they decided to help her out when they found that she has a shine. But, so right now, Dan is trying to get warning Abra to be careful, and said, Rose just trying to get inside her head, and now Rose is pissed, of course, because she threatened her, this 13-year-old girl, because she's like, you're a girl, you're a little kid, you can't, and nothing is more motivating than being told you're just a kid, because then that definitely won't, if you tell her you're just a kid and they can't do something, then they will fight back. Because kids, just teenagers and young adults, do not, telling them that they're just a kid is the worst thing you can do, because I think it will make them even more motivated to prove they can do it. They're not just a kid. It actually makes me think of in Gotham with Bruce. Being told he's just a kid, he can't do anything, he needs to go home and stay, but he's like, nope, and it's not just because he wants to do it for, it's because he feels responsibility for the city, and for, since it was kind of part of his parents' legacy, and he feels responsible for some of these characters, like Jerome Valeska. So the more you tell him not to do something that they're just a kid, they can't handle it, and they should go play, go to their room, play it safe, that will make them even less inclined to do it. So I have a feeling that Abra's not gonna sit back and do nothing. And then I also did start reading one of the short stories from here, another one, which is the Love in the Night, I think that's what it's called. Love in the Night. And it's set, I think, in Russia in the 20s, and our main character is a Russian American. His mom is American, and his dad is Russian. And I think they're part of one of the royal families or something. I don't know how royalty works, how it works in Russia, because characters are called prince. Men are called prince all the time, and they're, instead of king or queen, they're just called, a lot of men are seen as a prince or something. I don't understand how that. I guess I'll probably talk to Olive from a book Olive and ask her, but I wouldn't know how to contact her. I would have to find a video to comment on. But His name is Val, and he's obsessed with the phrase "love is the night," or "love in the night," and like he kind of has a shaky relationship with his parents. That's the impression I get from that. And the book starts with they're going to this yacht to meet with some Americans, and Val is a little late, and his dad is like, "Oh, well then if you're late, it's rude and disrespectful, so you can't come." Which I feel like I've never gotten that experience, because I mean I have been late for like get-togethers with people, or I know people in my life that will be late for things, but they're never like, you can't come now. I mean, yeah, it is rude to be late. I mean, but sometimes you just can't help it, and they're like, well, now you can't come. Which, and I guess his parents don't have a very loving relationship, because once his dad was like, well, you can't. His mom, even though at first she was like, you ruin things, she said, no, actually, I think you should come. You see that all the time in like stories with rich people, where the husband and wife they hate each other, they despise each other, and so they use their child as a way to get back at each other if they have children. And so he goes to the yacht, and he doesn't know actually where the party is taking place. And he meets this mysterious American woman. They start kind of flirting and talking to each other. And that's like, I stopped reading from that because I decided to film for one, and then my mom came home before I could start filming, and so I was helping her put away the groceries. So I couldn't really get back to that. So I haven't gotten back to it. That's all I've read. I have to the quote-unquote chapter 3, but which is really short. It's only like 2.5 pages, and then there's section 4, and I don't know how long this one is, but I'm gonna read a few more so I can squeeze in a few more stories for the month. So I'm also reading that, and now I also want to show you guys, I did a little bit of a book haul this week. So first of all, the roast office finally opened again. So it was open technically before, but it was like open only 3 days a week, and was like 10 to 2, I think. Those were the hours, and now it's back to normal hours, and you can go every day. Just, you still have to wear a mask, and they do have hand sanitizer out for you to put on and they're kind of restricting their donations, so they won't have too much. They only can bring like 2 bags, and coming through, there's a back door, of course. But because most of the time I have a backpack with me, so I talked to Lisa, and was like, she was like, oh yeah, that's cool. I mean, we just don't want as many bags to deal with, because probably because of the whole like germs and stuff like that. So I'm happy about that. So let's see. I'll first show you what I got from there. Okay, so let's see what I got from there. Back to that one in a minute. Okay, so first I got 2. Surprisingly, there are actually 3 Stephen King books there, and I got 2 of them. So anyone else who wants to read Stephen King and has been looking for Stephen King there has just missed out on 2 of their books. That's 2 of his books. So I got Firestarter, which this is a really old copy. Probably a copy that came out when it first came out. Which is, all I know about this one is it's about a girl with power. She has pyrokinesis. I'm sure there are people that will probably come after her. She might be in an abusive family. So you can. Oh well. Something traumatic probably happened to her or something. Usually, you can kind of figure out like when kids have power. But I remember seeing glimpses of the movie on like a trailer of the movie or something, because I remember there was just it was a redheaded actress, or maybe I saw a clip of it from like one of those top 10, Stephen King or something. So I have that, which I'm sure my cousin Philip. I got that one, and then I have Dance, which it was took me years to figure out how to pronounce this word. But then I figured out one time, I just kind of realized it. But Dance Macabre, because with the spelling and everything, it looks a little bit, like I used to think it was like macrame or something, but I think it's macabre. Which I think this is a collection of stories. Let's see. I think this is a collection of short stories, I think. Yeah, it's October 4th, 1957, in An Invitation to Dance, Tales of the Hook, Tales of the Tarot, An Annoying Autobiographical Pause, Radio and the Set of Reality, The Modern American Horror Movie Text and Subtext, The Horror Movie as Junk Food. Oh, maybe actually no, this might actually no. I just remember this is actually one of his nonfiction works. Where it just talks about. I think this might be nonfiction. I need to look this up because I don't remember it, but I think it might be nonfiction where, like, these are essays or something. Yeah, I think this is nonfiction. So my second nonfiction by Stephen King that I have, because I've read his On Writing. I got it on. I didn't. Okay, I should technically say I didn't read it. I listened to it, an audiobook last year, or no, actually I think it was 2019 when I listened to it. I'll have to double check on that. Yeah. But I did listen to that one, and then I didn't buy it, although I have been tempted to look for it because it's On Writing, and I still, in the back of my mind, I still would love to write a novel someday, but I don't think I have the discipline, and apparently I don't. So those are the two Stephen King I got, and there was another one there. There was actually there might have. Yeah, I think there was one more there. And then that day I also got The Accursed by Joyce Carol Oates. What is his name? There's a booktuber that I enjoy listening to and watching that is a huge fan of Joyce Carol Oates. He's an American booktuber, but he lives in the UK and with his partner. I cannot remember his name. I can picture his face. But I cannot remember his name at the moment. Of course, it will probably come to me once I'm done filming this. But I have attempted to buy Joyce Carol Oates before, but I changed my mind and didn't buy it after all. Or either that, or I bought it, but then I decided I didn't want to read. I wasn't interested in it anymore, and I returned it. Or at least put in the donation. No, actually, I don't think I bought it. I think because I looked at the Goodreads reviews, because that's usually what I do. If I'm uncertain about something, I will read the reviews on Goodreads. But this one has what is a bargain price sticker on it? Vampires and Ghosts in this one. So as soon as I heard this, Vampires and Ghosts, I was like, oh, I might like this one. Now, I don't know if it's going to be one of these ones where it's like, ooh, there might be, but at the end of the day, there's not really. It's just someone's active imagination, or if there really are going to be, or if it's going to be one of those ones where we don't know for sure. It depends on what you want to think. But, I mean, Stephen King blurbed it. So, and he's an expert on horror, supernatural horror and stuff like that, so. And like I said, this booktuber whose name I cannot think of at the moment really is a huge fan. I think is it Paul? Is his name Paul? No, not Paul. wish I could remember. Like I said, as soon as I'm done filming, his name's gonna come to me. But yeah, so like I said, I've heard a lot about Joyce Carol Oates, and he's a fan. And like I said, as soon as I read that this is vampires and ghosts in it, I was like, ooh, maybe this is the one that will get me interested in her works. And I've actually kind of been on it. I'm still, still more of the. I'm still, I'm not going officially back to vampires because I still am kind of like more of a, like fantasy worlds and stuff, not like paranormal urban fantasy. I mean, well, I guess I shouldn't say urban because I think urban is just a fantasy world that's like a city. But I'm still not 100% if I'm going back to paranormal stuff. But I have started rewatching Vampire Diaries, and I am trying to look at it as watch it from a an unbiased perspective because I was Team Damon and slash Team Elena. But I'm trying to watch it from not be like hating on Paul Wesley and slash Stefan. Although I've heard some stuff about like Nina Dobrev and Ian Somerhalder had dated, but then they broke up. I remember hearing about their breakup, but then some of the comments on on videos that had clips from the show and stuff, I got the impression that Ian Somerhalder kind of became a bit of an ass on the show. But so I enjoy it. It's kind of fun to go back, especially because I watched up to season 1 through 4. After 4, I didn't pick up season 5, or I might have started watching season 5. I watched it when Enzo showed up. I was still watching it then, but I forgot to watch it the last couple times, and I just got out of it. But I'm gonna try to. So I'm kind of thinking about kind of on a little bit of vampire interesting again. But like I said, I don't know if I'll ever go fully back to vampire, being a hardcore vampire fan. So that's part of why I picked this one, because it's like vampires and possibly ghosts are involved in this one. And then last but not least, I picked up this one that day as well, The Sun. I have seen this book before there, and I wasn't I kept passing it, but then I decided to, and I think I've read the description before, but it just wasn't, at the time I wasn't interested. But then the other day, I read it, it sounded kind of interesting. And it's all just like Tipping the Phone, but it's set in the 1800s, 1849, and our character is Eli McCall, and he's white. He's from Republic of Texas. And when he's a kid, age 13, he gets separated from his family. And I believe he ends up being taken in by some Native Americans. And he becomes part of their life, learns their language, is adopted by the chief. But then there's, of course, war breaks out between the two groups, and he's kind of caught in the middle because he feels like he's part of the Native American tribe, but he's also he knows he's white. Like he was 13 when this happened, when he got so he's not totally like he knows enough that he knows that he comes from Caucasians. Not like it's not like what's his name? What is that movie? Is it called? No, it's not Call of the Wild. That's the Jack London. But Dances with Wolves, where the woman who becomes Kevin Costner's wife in the movie, she was found when she was she was a little girl, like really young. So it's like she doesn't connect at all to white people. She's considers herself Native American, even though physically she doesn't have the same skin color as the tribe, which I do not remember what they were, what their tribe name was. But in this one, like I said, the kid was 13 when it happened. get to when he's an adult and he has his own kid. So it's kind of a bit of a family saga. I kind of like the. I don't even know for those. I'm kind of interested, particularly historical ones. Like, you know, like I did like what is it called? This is where I leave you. I read that book and I liked that book because but I saw the movie first. Um, I like that one, and then I like the movie. It's not Orange. There was a movie with Meryl Streep, Julia Roberts, Doctor Strange, Benedict Cumberbatch. And they were part of this family, and the family patriarch has passed away, but the matriarch, she's kind of, she's kind of a bitch, and her kids can't stand her, but they love her because she's their mom, because she's their mom, of course. I like that one. But I'm always interested in family sagas, especially when they start historical, and then they go to and even, and then they go to modern times, or we see or at least we get to see the next generation. I think those are always very interesting stories. And I would love to write. I would love to write a fantasy story. One of my story ideas of something I would want to write one day is a family saga story, but with people but it being fantasy, where our characters are like witches, or like Aunt Witch is like, I guess the Mayfair Witches is kind of what that is by Anne Rice, or like elves or fairies or something. It'd also kind of cool to do like a story where, kind of like what they did with the most recent Pixar movie, where they're trying to, I can't think, I just watched it not that long ago, a couple months ago. The one with the two young boys, and they're trying to find their dad, and they just find his legs. They were just able to restore his leg because they could bring him back for 24 hours, and they're on a mission to find him, to get him back. And it's kind of like, the world was once fantastical and magical, and then one day blends with they mix with the modern world, and it's like, I cannot remember what that movie's called. It's the latest Pixar film. It's really good, but Pixar is doing so much. Pixar is so much, I love the Disney live action. I'm one of those few people who actually enjoys the Disney live action movies. Although I haven't watched Mulan, and I heard that really was not good. And I just haven't felt inspired to watch it. But anyway, Pixar's done really good. Like, most people mutually agree that Pixar is done better because they're still very original with their ideas and stuff. While the Disney Animation Studios is just rehashing what did well, which you can't blame them in their business. So they're thinking, oh, this is the best business plan, and it's a bit risky to do something original. But Pixar has proven that it works. Anyway, I'm gonna get back. Let's get back on track. So yeah, I'm reading that one. I mean, I'm not reading that one right now, but that's one of the book. And then let's go to my most recent. I only bought one other book the other day there, and that was House Divided. And this is another one that I've seen them before, and I looked at the time and I wasn't interested, but I decided this time I am interested. So this is set during the Civil War, and they kind of compare it to Gone with the Wind a little bit. And they, for some, because of the setting, and it's kind of a family saga. Although Gone with the Wind, I guess you can't really say it was a family saga. I mean, obviously Scarlett O'Hara was part of a family, but it was her story. Well, this one is about multiple characters, and I think we get multiple perspectives. I don't know. Although I haven't really looked at it, so maybe not. Except for, I read the back, which I'm doing to get refresh my memory. So it's set it was originally published in 1947, and okay, so it was a bestseller. So I guess it was really more that people on Goodreads were like, oh, it can't compare to Gone with the Wind. And he does compare it is on the back description. Does compare it to War and Peace, like it's our version of War and Peace. Okay, so yeah, it's a family song about 3 brothers and 2 sisters, and it's set in Virginia. And it's kind of about their children and their grandchildren. And I think it's like War and Peace. It's probably one that, like I said, I haven't really looked through it yet. I've just read the back description, and I'm reading it again just to refresh my memory because it's been like a few days. So I'm guessing it takes place right before the war, during the war, and then after the war. Like with War and Peace, because it says, through the story of 3 brothers, 2 sisters from an old Virginia family, loyal Confederates all, and their children and their grandchildren, House Divided illuminates the lives of millions who fought and lost the war that destroyed their homeland. It's a long book, so I'm assuming that there's going to be, like I said, right before the war, during the war, and after the war. Like War and Peace does, So I just decided, I'm interested in this one now. It's a big daddy of a book. Let's see, how many pages? I never really looked to see how many pages. Oh, good, there's a family tree on here. 1,514 pages. It's over 1,000 pages. So yeah, I had the right spot on my shelf. I think I said this last time that I organize my books by the number of pages now. So, yeah, there's a big daddy of a book. Okay, so next, I'm going to show you the books I got from Books A Million. I might have already talked about some of these before, but I'm going to share them again. Okay, so first, I figured, since Mom requested that I just get one book because she's worried about, doesn't want me to, we've decided I'm gonna only get one book each time. It's safe, safest I won't get carried away, and because I think for a lot of booktubers can understand the whole risk of getting carried away with what you buy. So I'm not sure if I've already shown you guys this one or not. I think I did. But yeah, this Sky Without Stars, which is the Les Mis retelling sci-fi version of it. Yeah, I think I have talked about this one. I think I told you guys about this one. I just for some reason I was thinking I didn't. But yeah, so I haven't started this one, so I might read it when I pick up Les Mis again. The original Les Mis. I think that would be a good idea, a good fun little thing to do. Problem is they're both really big books and a big commitment. Although this one is going to be a series, and it's almost 600 pages. Well, that's the acknowledgments. It's almost 600 pages. So it's not as big as Les Mis, which actually I can see why it makes sense because good idea to divide because they're making into a trilogy. I think they're a trilogy or duology. I'll have to look that up. But I think when I probably said this when I first showed this book to you guys, but I like the idea of a sci-fi retelling of Les Mis. I like when they take classic stories and or they do classic themes and stuff like war and family drama and add a fantastical fantasy sci-fi spin to it. I like that concept. I think it's a really intriguing idea. It's a way to metaphorically kind of like what Joss Whedon does with his shows, like what he did with Buffy the Vampire Slayer, it was like a metaphor. He used supernatural elements as a metaphor for growing up and how hard it is to be an adult and how hard it is to grow up in a world. And it's an easy way to connect with your audience and entertain them without shoving it in their face like without getting too preachy or being like, you know, this is, like, or kind of like those, those cheesy little movies that after school special type stories where it's obvious what they're trying to teach you, and like get into your head and stuff. Like I prefer when they do it in a fun, entertaining way, which is probably why they have stuff like why they would have stuff like Bill Nye the Science Guy, where it was done in a very teaching you science, but done in a very fun, silly kind of way. And I think like CW or WB at the time, dramas try to do that as well. I think make it fun, and like I think that's kind of what the new Charmed is doing, where they're trying to, in the original Charmed, where they're trying to not get preachy, but kind of deal with the social issues in the real world through the show, but doing it in a fun, entertaining way. And that's what I like. I like how they're teaching, because not everybody can get into classics. And sometimes people will just watch the movie version, which I've done that before. In fact, I used to prefer the movie version of Les Mis. But I got it last year, and then I started reading it again. I really liked it this time around. Of course, it was disappointing to realize I also only read the abridged version the first time I read it. And to realize that it's a lot longer than the abridged version, because the abridged version, I remember thinking how short it was, it didn't look that long. It was still long compared to what I normally would read at the time. And then it was like, wow, this is a lot longer and bigger than I originally thought. But yeah, so I think I have shown you this book to you guys before. I just couldn't remember. Okay, so real quick, let me show you all these, and then when I'm done filming, I gotta respond to my sister because she just responded back to me. I hope she's not annoyed. But so I also got some of my other recent purchases were, so I finally bought Midnight Tides, which is the book number in the Malazan series. It's book number 5. It's book number 5. Which, yeah, I probably would have been fine, but I'm one of these people that when it comes to series, I like to get as many of the books in the series as possible, sooner rather than later, because then that way I'll be motivated to get through the series, although it's failed considerably. But, at the same time, I think it stems from years before I was working, and before I was working, I didn't make a lot of money. I didn't have a lot of money. I just would wait until I got money for like birthday or Christmas or something, or until I got a gift card, and so it would take me a long time before I would get the next book in a series. So, like, I finally decided to, so now I think it's now got, and so I think that whole making sure I get the next book in the series right away stems from that. Or as many books in the series as I can. And this is a long series, so, so this is, I don't know if it's as long as, Wheel of Time is. I think it might be shorter than Wheel of Time, but this is such a cool, really fun, very dark series, and it's like very different from my usual reads. It's like, and I don't know if like Larissa, I don't think it's her kind of thing, but possibly Larissa might be intrigued by it. I'll have to see. But I try not to recommend too many books to them because, like I said, I don't have this weird thing about when people tell me I should check something out, that I'm all child, which I think I've told you guys this before. And my thing about when someone recommends a book to me, I'm like, especially if someone is directly telling me, unless like if it's if it's someone I don't know that well, I'll give it I'll check it out. Or, like, when I'm watching BookTube and someone talks about a book on BookTube, then, yeah, I will check it out then. But if it's someone directly telling me, then, yeah, I'm like, well, maybe I don't want it. So I try not to recommend too many books to people, but sometimes, dude, I think it's sometimes really hard because you want to share. Same thing with TV shows and movies, but there's some things that I do want to just keep to myself. But yeah, I definitely, there's this need to share and talk about books or movies or TV shows. But this is such a really cool series, very different, and I need to get back to Deadhouse Gate soon. Then I also got Brandon Sanderson's. So I got Arcanium Unbound, which is a collection of short stories that applies to each of the book series in his Cosmere universe. So I don't know if there's any more, and there's some of his series that I have not read, like let's see, Alcatraz and Evil Librarians, The Reckoners. Reckoners being one of his sci-fi series. And then Alcatraz versus Librarian, I think, is middle grade. And The Arithmetist, I think, is middle grade too. I haven't read any of those. But I might have seen them at the library. So maybe one day I'll, if it's at the library, I'll get The Arithmetist. Which I think I have seen it there. And that's one of those ones that I believe he said he wanted to write a sequel to it, but he hasn't gotten to it because he's a writing machine. He's like a robot. He writes so many books and publishes so many books. Yeah, so this is a collection of some of the stories from each of his Cosmere series. And it does, I have such mixed, and again, I said this before, I have mixed feelings about mass market paperbacks, because they're small and easy to carry and cheaper, but they're so fragile, and so, the paper I can easily rip, and the spines break easily. Although I personally don't care that much about breaking spines, I'm one that, with the people who are like, well, it just shows it's well read and loved and stuff like that. If you break it, like you read it enough times, and that you put your mark on the book. So I'm glad I have this. I'm definitely getting more into short stories. I mean, unfortunately, Kelly Link did not work for me, but some of the other authors have. So maybe one day I would give Kelly Link another shot. And then the last two books I want to show you are, okay, first I got The Recognitions by William Gaddis. And this one, I also might have talked about this one too. But this is one that Leaf by Leaf, I don't remember his actual name, but he has talked about this book. I watched his review on it, and just the way he talked about this book got me interested. And I don't know if it's historical or not. I can't figure out. I think it might be historical. But it's another chunker. It's a long book, and it's definitely a challenge, and he does this interesting thing where he doesn't put quotes around when he does dialogue, and I think Leaf by Leaf talked about that in his review about what he could potentially, but the reason why William Gaddis did not put quotes around his dialogue. I don't know if I'll buy JR or not. I might if I like this one, which I probably will, because I've said this a million times before, I'm not that hard to please. I mean, though I have my limits to certain types of books I won't read. But it's like we are at the point where as you can see, I've already started this, and our main character, Wyatt, he's now an adult, and he's married to his wife, Esther, and he's been painting for a while. And these two, Esther and Wyatt, do not click. They should not have gotten married. They don't have much of a connection. They're just, they don't understand each other. They don't connect very well. And it's just, I have a feeling it's not going to end well between the two of them. It's just heartbreaking. Because I think she does love him. But the two of them just don't, I feel like he's oblivious to her. And yeah, maybe in his own way he does love her. But he's that stereotype of the artist character that's just, not good with their emotions and puts most of their emotions in their artwork. But when it comes to people, they just don't connect. And they're very distant from them. And I feel like that's how Wyatt is. He's very distant and doesn't emotionally really connect with Esther. And it's just, it's fascinating, but it's also heartbreaking. You feel bad for those women that marry those type of guys. Because usually, so far, it's usually been a guy, a male, and it's just very, like, you just don't, and it's just very interesting how they just, and I don't think it's, like I said, I don't think it's going to go well for them, but yeah, this is the big chunker of a book. There are about, okay, so it is considered a mammoth because it's almost, including the afterword, it's 945 pages, counting the afterword. Now, not counting the afterword, because I probably won't read the afterword, is 933 pages. So, you think it was in the 1,000 mark, but it's really not in the 1,000 mark. It's actually only like in the, it's 900. And I think, and like I said, House Divided is longer than that one. And then the one I got yesterday was The Wolf by Leo Carew. And this was one of those, like, I was kind of trying to find a fantasy that was a little different. It was kind of more of a, not because, someone else got me interested in it, but because, I discovered it kind of on my own. That was what motivated this purchase. And, of course, I read the back description. And it's basically about these two group of people. And I think they're Native American. But I'm not sure. So the back says, beyond the Black River, among the forests and the mountains of the north, lives an ancient race of people. Their lives are measured in centuries, not decades. They revel in wild wilderness and resilience, and they scorn wealth and comfort. By contrast, those in the south live in the moment, their lives more fleeting. They crave wealth and power. Their ambition is limitless, and their cunning unmatched. When the armies of the south flood across the Black River, the fragile peace between the two races is shattered. On a lightning-struck battlefield, the two sides will fight. For their people, for their land, for their survival. Although maybe not. Because they use swords. There are swords on here, so I don't know. But it just sounds like something that I hadn't heard about. And hopefully it's a standalone. Because I definitely get, I'm starting to definitely feel the stress of reading series because there's so many books. Oh, nope. It's not a standalone. It says Under the Northern Sky, Book 1. Of course, it's a series. I'll have to keep an eye out for the next book. Which, like I said, it kind of bugs me because it's like I'm trying to keep up with all these series and trying to get them read and stuff. But anyway, so that one is the last book I bought yesterday. So, that's what's going on with my reading right now. I hope you, if you guys like this video, be sure to click subscribe. Click the bell notification below if you want to know when I post new videos. Give it a thumbs up if you like this video, no pressure. And I hope you continue to wash your hands, wear a mask, stay 6 feet apart from people, and I hope you are enjoying your reading, and I will talk to y'all later. All right, bye!